Yo, yo, yo. Brother took a couple of weeks off, can't lie. But I'm back at it, back in the building, man. I got a special guest. Amin El Hassan is here this week joining the Church League Champ podcast, man. Well, first off, what's going on, brother?
Man, what's the word? You weren't lying about your voice when the lights come on. It was like I was taken aback.
Well, no, man. You know, I'm not in front of mics daily now, so when I get in front of them, I get excited, man. First off, you got energy to do this, man? You're on 17 shows in a day.
Nah, man.
How many shows you do? First of all, I was driving this morning. I heard you on a particular station that I was once familiar with. And then you did with the Jump.
Yeah, well, I did Sports Nation.
Sports Nation,
because Jump was in Toronto.
Okay, Sports Nation. How many shows you do in a week, man?
Oh man, a lot, because when you count, I got my radio show that's on Sirius XM NBA with Jason Jackson.
Yep.
Sundays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Plug it. There's like 1 million people listening, so you just need to go ahead and plug it with.
There's that. There's Jump. There's Sports Nation. Obviously I show up with the homies Keyshawn, LZ, and George in the morning once a week, and then I do an hour with Sarah Spain and Jason Fitz in Bristol once a week, and then Lebatard show once a month, HQ when I'm down there. So I feel like I work a lot, but there are people, I guess, who don't feel that way.
The moral of the story is you're half Jamaican.
Yes, that's exactly.
That's for sure. All right, Amin El Hassan, do me a favor, man. Break down, kind of run through the resume for those who are listening who don't see you or hear you on all the million things that you do.
Because
they got jobs.
Everyone, I only name one thing that someone with a regular 9-to-5 job could actually listen to, and that's the Sunday show. Right. And it's on Sirius XM that no one actually has that. So I got my start working in NBA front offices, Atlanta, New York, and Phoenix was really where I got my most experience and my most meaningful experience. I was in Phoenix when we were great, when Steve Nash and Grant Hill and Shawn Marion, Amari Stoudemire, Shaquille O'Neal, and then obviously names that are more relevant today, Steve Kerr, David Griffin, Alvin Gentry, and now the newly minted head coach of the Phoenix Suns, Igor Kokoshkov. It's another success story right there. So I was there during probably our most successful era in Phoenix. And then after that, I left the Suns, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And ESPN came calling. And they said, hey, do you want to do this? And I said, I don't know, but I'll give it a try. And
that's the interesting part for me.
6 years later, this is where we're at now.
So did you ever have ambition to be on a mic in front of a camera?
It would be like if someone walked in right now and said, yo, you want to be an astronaut? Like, I've never even given it thought, but yeah, I'll give it a try.
And you do it well, because you're a provocateur, man. You get them going on Twitter, hate hard, everybody. But the people love engaging, man. I think you've mastered that. As somebody who's been in front of a mic for a while, keep people engaged.
The funny thing is though, that started that was something I did with my friends, and then when I first got on Twitter, Shaq was the one that introduced me to Twitter, which is kind of crazy, but. I had a private account. I had no one, because the only people who followed me were the guys on the team. And so, you know how athletes are to be like, oh, no days off. And then I would tweet back like, that's a lie. I saw you at Wendy's yesterday. Hate hard.
Right.
That was just kind of inside joke. And then it just kind of spilled over when I started working for ESPN. It was never meant to be like a device. Mm-hmm. It was just,
That's who you are? Because it started off, like most things for you, was just authentic. And not that it isn't now, but I'm just kicking it with the homies, but via Twitter.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And quickly, since you are a person who's well-versed, I see you got on the Yeezys. I'm just joking.
Nah.
Can you wear Yeezys now? Can you listen to old Kanye? Now, where are we at with this? I haven't talked about it on my Twitter. I haven't posted anything because I have some thoughts. I'm going to drop it a little bit later on. This Dash radio show that we got jumping off Wednesday. I'll kind of drop it there. But just quickly, your thoughts on all this, because you are a person. You're a man of the people, and you have a lot of different things to say about a lot of different topics.
I am concerned that we live in an era where opinions are greater than facts, where people think because I'm allowed to think freely and think outside the box, that also means I'm allowed to manipulate facts, whether it's him talking about slavery was a choice, whether it's Kyrie saying the earth is flat, whether it's people denying that the Holocaust ever happened, or that Nazis can be kind of cool people or whatever. Right. All of this is, to me, these are things that we knew for facts, not because that's just public opinion and we're all sheep. Well, it's undeniable. All of these things were undeniable because that's history. And that's in the case of the flat Earth. It's science. We know it for a fact. When you get on a plane and you fly from L.A. to Tokyo, you didn't go through some Pac-Man warp hole.
Right. Sometimes lapse.
Like we know why. And so when people question those things under the guise of, oh, this is because I'm such an intellectual, I'll question anything. No, intellectuals don't question anything. They question things that we don't have any factual evidence to prove. So I'll give you a great example from basketball. The idea that when I was growing up, and probably you and I think we're around the same age, but they used to coach us, hey, if you're at the 3-point line and a dude closes out hard on you, you put the ball on the floor, take that one dribble, and take that mid-range jump shot. That's a good shot. And now we know that's not a good shot. No, you pump fake, let him fly by you, still shoot that three, or you sidestep dribble along the 3-point line and shoot a three. That's the better shot. Now, the free-thinking intellectuals like, wait, why is that a better shot, a mid-ranger jumper? No one ever said why. We just
did it.
We just did it because that's how we've always done it. That's where free thought comes in.
I'll add to yours if you want to give a basketball example. I think that's the difference, and being in front office, between why the European players, it's not, we're catching up here in the States now, but for decades, why they were more fundamentally sound, the bigs, specifically the bigs, because they thought, why just because you're 6'10" and above, do you have to only rebound and kick out, or only, and growing up in middle school and high school, bigs down there,
the tallest
bigs
kid,
down there, littles down there. We're working on handles and shooting and doing all passing, and they're just rebounding and boxing out. And so when they got to the league, you got the Dwight Howards, who I really don't have fundamentals, and the DeAndre Jordan. It takes years. Whereas Dirk and Dino Raja, how far back you in Detlef Shrimp? Those guys had it all because they play all.
Yeah, they were taught play basketball. They weren't taught
you only rebound and dunk on people, touch the rim all day.
So
free thinking. I'll say this, and we'll get to the playoffs, which is really I'm interested to hear your thoughts on a lot of that. The idea of just a continuous, it's almost like it was a delight to the idea simply of free thought. Like, no, everything was, no, but I'm thinking freely. Yeah. It's like, okay, but can you do some research behind the ability to think freely? That was, it's to your point. Like, can you actually study? I'll give you a quick example. It reminds me of somebody who just finds faith or religion, and everything is that, and they just throw these ideas, and they just throw it in your face, and they just say, and you're like, okay, and they haven't really done the research for themselves. They haven't really found that foundation and ability to kind of like, to be comfortable in it and be able to have articulate conversation about it. They just so excited, they just throw it in your face. It's like Kanye found this new enlightenment or freedom for himself, and it just starts saying stuff. And because he has such a big microphone, everyone paid attention. I was over. I felt like, check the source. Like, why are y'all getting an uproar? Check the source. Oh, like, this is who we're in an uproar about? Yeah.
I mean, but the problem is, like, there's two ways to take it. For us, we're rational. We're like, yeah, he's some dumbass rapper who lives in a bubble in Calabasas, right? But we can't do that, I don't think, because there's so many people, which is why when Kyrie did all that flat earth thing, I took it, I went after him on air about it, because like, we can't allow people, young, impressionable people, to think that this is what free thought looks like. That's not right? And to sit by and let something that not right happen and people be influenced by that, because then, like I said, it's crazy. Like 3 years ago, if I said this is a slippery slope, next thing we'll know, we'll be calling Nazis good people, and that would sound so ridiculous 3 years ago, and now here we are.
Yeah, when you brought up the Nazi being good people, I'm assuming you're referring to Erykah Badu, right? Or other people who have maybe said it as well.
I'm just saying, in general, this whole idea that let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, no, I think the baby's going out with this bathwater.
The baby got to go out all the way down the drain. I think with people, what happens is they've become enlightened. They've maybe shed some burden, something that was on their back, and now they perceive everything from a hopeful and a love standpoint. So everything becomes love, but everything isn't love, and there are some things that are simply evil. There are some things that are simply wrong. And I think what happens is now, because I'm going to look and review everything from an optimistic standpoint, they do that with everything. And it's like, nah, bro, you can't do that with that. Exactly. Nah, so you can't do that with that. You can't do that with Nazis. You can't do that with this. And I think that's what we got caught up. Anyway, on from Ye, man. Let's just jump into these playoffs. Quickly, the first thought that comes to your mind, if I say the biggest surprise, and then maybe the thing that has impressed you the most? And if they're one and the same, that's fine.
Well, the biggest surprise has to be, if we're talking about the entire playoffs, obviously the Pelicans sweeping the Blazers. You know, a lot of people made a big deal about 22 analysts from ESPN, myself included, picked the Blazers to win. None of us picked the Blazers to sweep. I don't know why they're acting like we thought they were going to house them or anything. But, I mean, it's a surprise because New Orleans came with an amazing game plan, and I think the story of playoff basketball that I don't know if fans know comes down to two things. One is matchups and execution. And I guess within execution you can add a third thing, adjustments, right? Matchups, do you have matchups that are favorable? Like, can we guard you but you can't guard us? And then second of all, execution. We have a game plan. This is what we're going to do. How well do we do that without deviating from it? And then the third thing is when they do stuff to us, how do we adjust not only from game to game but also within the game, right?
Right.
Sometimes that adjustment needs to happen now. It can't wait till tomorrow. Portland never adjusted to what New Orleans was doing, blitzing their ball handlers. They never adjusted. They just kept believing that these shots are going to start falling. That was foolish, right? Because, again, when you play in the regular season, and your offense is your offense, your defense is your defense, but you have a different opponent every night.
Right.
So it's hard to tailor what you do.
You just got to roll with it.
You just got to roll. This is what we do. This is how we defend the pick and roll on the side. This is how we do it high. This is what we do offensively. This is like we go to. When you get to the playoffs, these guys are sitting in rooms watching every single one of your tendencies, and they're attacking your weaknesses. And so I don't care if you had the number one offense in the league. If they're running a defense that is geared to slow your offense down, you can't say, well, sooner or later the number one offense in the league is going to show up because you built that number one offense against 29 teams. Some of them were trash. Some of them were good. Some of them had a game plan that could stymie.
I'm familiar with you, too, because it's just in and out. One night I'm in Portland, that's it. You're not going to see me again for 3 more months.
These cats were sitting here for 4 days coming up with a plan, and then when you didn't adjust, you gave them 2 more days to perfect their plan, and you never had them on their heels. You were always on your heels because you never did anything to adjust. And so that was a big surprise. I wouldn't be as surprised that New Orleans won so much as Portland just didn't adjust. I thought that was.
What about the idea of Dame Dollar getting shut down? Dame Dollar turning like Dame Dime. Like, I mean, Drew Holiday reminded the league that, oh, by the way, I was an all-star once in Philly, or I was a real player once before all the things that are going on with, his wife and all that and injuries. Was that just my jump shot was off? I had a bad series, or they drew and kind of like you mentioned what the Pelicans did, they locked it down and pretty much owned him.
Yeah, they trapped him, and they made him force the ball out of his hands. And unfortunately for the Blazers, possessions, they never got the ball back to him. So I kept saying, man, let them do that, let him throw it out, and then come right back, get it back. We're gonna run a handoff right back to it because the natural inclination of any defensive player is when the mission has been successful, we got the ball out of his hands, the relaxation. Like, I got the ball and the guy's locked in me and I throw it to you, and in that exact moment my man relaxes. And if you throw it right back, don't dribble with it, don't mess around with it, just throw it right back. He's trying to take that one little second and finally get a breather, man, because I've been guarding this amazing explosive score. That's when you got him. You've got to do things to help him. He's a great player, but again, it's not pickup ball. These guys actually have a scheme that they're running against you.
So then simply that Terry Stotts,
I think that's
along with the Pelicans, but Terry Stotts was out coached and lost that series, and then you got the Pelicans who just came, like you said, and executed.
He got out coached thoroughly, and then I think obviously Anthony Davis is great. That helps.
There ain't no denying that.
And then Mirotic was amazing. Like, that's a dude that. If
you didn't account for that.
Yeah.
You knew he'd get some buckets, but you didn't account for all that.
For 4 straight games, he was just killing. Like, you probably thought, okay, how many times is he going to do that? But I think ultimately you got to find a way to get your star players. You got to get them off. What
impressed you so far? Either a player, a team, a game, a moment, letting
Mitchell.
LeBron shoot the game winner.
Donovan Mitchell. Easily, that's the most impressive because from what I just talked about, execution and adjustment, it's very hard for young players to understand, first of all, the intensity jump from regular season to playoffs. Because, again, February in Detroit, nobody cares. I mean, like we do enough.
I'm
because
a little offended because you said Detroit, but go ahead. Continue.
I'm trying to make a random stop.
No, you're right, because I was there in February in Detroit at a game. Nobody cared.
It's cold. I just want to go home. I just want to get on this plane. Like, so people are, and because, like I said, because tomorrow we got to play Milwaukee, and the day after that, Indiana. And so our game plan is only temporary in fashion, right? So as a rookie, you go through, by the time you get past that rookie wall, February, March, you're like, okay, I figured out this NBA basketball thing. And then you get to this level, and all of a sudden, all the dudes who are kind of going at 70%, but you ain't know it's 70%.
Right. Now they're going at 100.
Now they're going at 100, and not just energy-wise, but again, focus and determination and execution and knowing what your tendencies are. And the thing that you don't like to be done, they're doing it again and again and again. So it's hard for young players to adjust to that jump, and then it's hard for them to also adjust to, no, you got to do homework, lots of homework. I was talking to Keyshawn Johnson today about how football kind of is better than basketball at emphasizing film. There's a lot of basketball players who watch film, but they just kind of watch it to watch it.
Just to check it off a checklist. Yeah. I watch film.
The guys who are great at it, Rondo, LeBron, Kobe, like it shows. It shows when they know what's going on. They can anticipate what's happening, because anticipation is basically educated guesses. I don't know what you're going to do, but I have a good idea, because when that guy stands there and that guy stands there, and the coach does this, we know what you're running, right? And I think of the play that Dwayne Wade had against the Sixers in Game 2, where he stripped the ball from Dario Saric, went up for the dunk at the other end. And he talked about it afterward. He said, I saw them run that play earlier in the game, and then I was on the bench, and they ran it again. And I said, if they run it again when I'm on there, I'm gone. And sure enough, you see Ben Simmons, the ball's barely left his hands, and Wade's supposed to be guarding his man on the baseline. He's already up by where Saric is at the elbow. That's those in-game adjustments you're talking about.
Yeah,
and that's vet experience. Right? That's a guy who's watched this film and recognized patterns and all that. It's hard for rookies to do that. Donovan Mitchell, man, he plays like a vet. He plays with poise out there.
Man, when I watch him play, and this goes into the whole Rookie of the Year debate, and you can easily make a case for either one, and I think you could even make a case clearly for Cole, a Rookie of the Year. But if I had to pick, and you maybe pick one, the reason I said Donovan Mitchell is I said he does not have a Joel Embiid that you can depend on. Guys are double teaming, and he does. I'm like, dude, this guy has a team that was supposed to be downtrodden. It's supposed to be, well, we don't have Gordon Hayward now. We're just gonna, this isn't gonna be a great season. And he made them a playoff team, and he's made them a competitive one. And now they're tied 1-1. But and obviously this is all before the playoffs. But I had a hair on my chin to Donovan Mitchell, because what he was doing night in, night out in the West, being the star of that team and really the lone one, outside of Rudy Gobert, but he's not really an offensive star. I was very impressed.
I got a lot of respect for him. It was a hard decision for me. I ended up going with Ben Simmons. I don't regret that decision, because
nobody's gonna be mad at you for Ben Simmons.
But
if you'd have said Kyle Kuzma, we'd be like, hey, hold on.
It's like Ben was great, and you can make a bunch of arguments about whether he's really a rookie and all that. And I understand all that, but my thing is, like, it ain't my job to use my ballot to make statements.
Right.
The system is wrong, and I'm going to vote this way to let everyone know the system. No, system is the system. This is the vote. These are the eligible guys. If he's on that ballot, I have to pick him. Now we can have a conversation now about, hey, let's change that rule so that those guys aren't eligible anymore.
But the vote was there, and you voted for Ben Simmons.
I voted for Ben. Yeah.
All right. Amin Elhassan is on the Church League Champ podcast, and let's stay in the playoffs. I want to go to the East for a second and talk about what the heck Boston is doing right now. What Boston is able to do with no Gordon Hayward. Now we have no idea what they would have been with him, because he played like 10 minutes.
Yeah, for 10 seconds.
10 seconds, whatever it was, which that was awful, by the way. And then no Kyrie. Yeah. And then you had no Marcus Smart for a little bit. So what the heck? How are they able to have this success when Jaylen Brown, we knew, would be a quality player, but it's like he made a jump out of the blue, and he seems to be making a jump at the right time in the playoffs, like another jump. So talk about the Boston Celtics and how they're able to win. Is this just a matter of a system, plug and play? Is this the best example of an NFL team? Next man up.
No, it's definitely a great system. It's a great offense, and the guys are all bought in, and they execute it very, very well. That goes that word again, execution. Hayward getting hurt in the first game of the year was probably the best thing that could happen that involves him getting hurt. Bear with me here. If he had gotten hurt at the All-Star break, it would have been terrible, because you would have had Brown and Tatum starting the year kind of get in where I fit in. I'll spot up a little bit. One of us is coming off the bench probably, if not maybe both of us. And also fighting over those minutes because those wing minutes are limited, right? Gordon Hayward getting hurt out the gate meant like those guys had to grow up. So they had a full 82 games of growing up. By the time they got to the playoffs, it wasn't like they knew it wasn't them being thrust in a new role. It was a role that was familiar. Now, again, I got to give them kudos for being able to, like Donovan Mitchell, being able to execute and do the things that rookies usually aren't able to process or whatever. The guy I've been really surprised about in the playoffs, to be honest, is Rozier.
Terry freaking Zier is balling.
You could have told me he'd have 1 or 2 games like that in their first 8. He's had 6.
He looks like a real starter in the league.
Balling out almost every single game, and at some point I'm like, is he just really this good? And we just didn't know because I didn't think of him like that at Louisville. I thought he was like spark plug, energy guy, defend, maybe hit a catch and shoot 3, run, be a solid, really good backup point guard. But like you said, is he a starter? I don't know. I don't want to like overreact, kind of like people do in college basketball off of March Madness, but. Unlike college basketball, there's an immense amount of preparation that these guys are going through. Like, it's not like Boston got so many dudes that are like, oh, and how are we going to stop him? How are we going to stop him? That Terry Rose just slipped through the cracks. It's like, dude, what are we game planning here? Especially Jaylen Brown being out game 1. And Philly's a good defense.
I think they're in a luxury, man, where they have decision makers. So when I watch them, I say they got a bunch of wing guys that can make decisions. I can shoot, drive, or pass like we all were taught. And they have plenty of guys who do that between Brown and Tatum. Then you got Rozier. Then you got Marcus Smart. And Al Horford really is like that too, even though he's one of those, kind of those throwback centers where I can pass. I make a lot. I'm really like a point guard even though I'm the center. So I look at a team like Cleveland, and I'm like, man, if LeBron ain't creating it,
it's not happening.
Who else can create? And now maybe guys can create if they had to. I think Jordan Clarkson can from time to time, but he's not a great decision maker.
Yeah, it's all about. I think we talk about Horford. He's making other guys better. Like a lot of those guys on Boston and the system, the offense makes everyone better. In Cleveland, if it's not LeBron making you better, you're basically making yourself better. Jordan Clarkson ain't making Larry Nance better, right?
No, you just got to go get it.
J.R. Smith's not making Kyle Korver better or Jeff Green. Like, these guys are either doing it for themselves or LeBron is.
Is that – then I have an ongoing debate with my homie about this. Is that is LeBron – I was thinking about it. An example of a Kobe, even though it's different. Follow what I mean?
Because he's not shooting, but he's still dominant.
There you go. Yeah. Just because he's not shooting, when we think of Kobe, because he's a ball hog, he's a ball stopper, because he's shooting, whatever. Well, LeBron is – you see guys go, huh, okay, dang, wait, he has to do it.
Yeah.
Or is that simply the way the system is, he has to do it, a la Allen Iverson back in the little 2000 run with the 76ers, where this is just the way our team is built. You got to do it.
I feel like when this era of basketball is over in Cleveland, we're going to look back and say, I can't believe they used Kevin Love as just a spot-up dude and, like, grab you some rebounds. Because when I think Kevin Love in Minnesota and Kevin Love at UCLA, what I loved about him was he's such a great passer. Right?
True, very
especially
true.
out of the high post. And I feel like Cleveland did none of that. Now, there's a very strong argument to be made that anytime LeBron is on the floor, to have the ball in LeBron's hands gives you the highest chance of success on every single possession. And that's a testament to his greatness. And because, it's not just born out of, he's going to shoot every time and he's really good at shooting.
He's going
to make the right pass. He's going to make the right pass.
Draw a double
the right
team,
play.
Whatever it is.
But at the same time, during the regular season, there's a good 12 minutes he's not on the floor, right? 11, 12 minutes. They have no offense that happens out there. And that's been happening this entire time, the entire 3 or 4 years he's been there. That can't be. They should have been able to have Kevin Love be a dude that you can flow the offense to, much like Horford, kind of like hit guys with passes and all that, and that they have something so that either A, if LeBron's not on the floor, we can keep this thing going, or B, if LeBron doesn't have it, like
drop it down to him.
Yeah.
Can I argue? This is what I've been arguing with my boy about. I think Kevin Love primetime lights now the last 3 or 4 years, because we see him on nationally televised games, has been exposed a bit. Meaning, somebody got to score for when the Lakers were at their worst.
Sure.
They're going to score 100 points.
Somebody's got
and you're going to see Jordan Hill. Remember him? He's going to give you 15 and 10.
Right.
You're going to be like, dang, he must be a real player. You're going to see all these guys like Timothy Mozgov got paid because LeBron was getting him all his points. So my point is, in Minnesota, Kevin Love, you're the only guy. Take all the shots you want, to get all the possessions you want, and then you put up these points. Now I feel like he's gotten a bit exposed where we're saying, oh, we see you night in, night out. You really don't have it like that. You're a player.
What I would argue is, one, he was efficient. It wasn't like he was shooting 29% and getting 25 and 10. Dude's numbers were up there. And then also there was at least they had a lot of injuries in Minnesota. The 1 year where they were kind of almost they had lost
I think they won 40 games.
And they lost like 12 games by 1 point or by 1 point or 2 points or less or something like that, which typically means you were unlucky, to be honest. Look, it's tough. Maybe he definitely wasn't as good. You're right. There's a point where you're not as good as
everyone always said. Minnesota Cavs,
but he's not that bad either. That's my point. He's not that bad, and there are things about his game that we know he can do. Meaning, throw it to him at the elbow, dribble handoffs, and like the stuff that we see Nikola Jokic do in Denver, and the stuff that we see Horford do in Boston. Kevin Love absolutely has the skill set and the IQ to do that stuff, but he doesn't. And to me, that falls upon the coaching. Y'all didn't use him the right way.
Is it coaching or is it just I got LeBron, I can't say anything? Like, meaning
maybe, and that's the other thing. Like the whole fit in, fit out. Like, has he ever fit in? Have you ever felt that level of like love and acceptance?
He ain't been one of his woes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Since the first picture.
Someone was trying to compare him to Chris Bosh. I said, nah, man. Like, LeBron loved Chris Bosh. That's his best friend in the league. Him and Wade, those guys were best friends. Like, this dude is just some dude to him. And and now I'm not saying you got to be best friends to be pro athletes and be successful, but I think when there is an affinity for someone, you're more invested in, I want him to succeed. I don't want people to be putting stuff on him like that. And if you don't really, you're like, yeah, that's messed up. They blaming Kev like that. Well,
yeah, it's messed up. They blaming him. You just kind of like, yeah,
move on. Let me live on with my life.
Is there a scenario where if LeBron loses, let's say they lose to the Raptors, or let's say the next round, I'm assuming, say the Celtics get there and they lose to the Celtics or the 76ers, that can he just lose and like, oh, he just lost, or is it a big deal? Because I told I told my boy the opposite. At some point, he can't win. 8 championships he has to go to, 8 finals.
Like 8, yeah, you're right.
We can't just be like, he just
logic
lost
tells us you can't keep doing this. And he probably should have not been able to do it this long, which is, to me, one of the arguments of what makes him so great is that y'all act like losing in the finals is a bad thing, or rather losing the finals and losing the first round or not make the playoffs, like some of y'all favorite players who've done that more than a couple of times. But at the same time, because of he's the big dog of the league right now and of this generation, yeah, man, anytime you lose, it's a big deal. That's part of like that's like you got a lot of blessings being LeBron James. The burden is when you lose, it's a big deal. It doesn't matter. He lost to the Warriors last year, and people acting like, "Oh, I told you it was garbage." Like, did you see that team?
Right.
Like, why y'all acting like he lost to like a YMCA team or he lost to
that's my fault.
UMBC or something?
Right. Maybe that's my fault. I'm too rational. I'm looking at it as I look at that Cleveland team, and I'm like,
yeah, they're not supposed
that
to
team
win.
Is not Boston. How Boston can lose Gordon Hayward ball. Boston can lose Kyrie Irving and still ball.
Yeah.
If they lost LeBron, it's a wrap.
They're not even making the playoffs.
Exactly. They're 12 seed in the East. So that's why I don't look at it as.
But see, yeah, you're right. You're too logical.
That's my problem. That's my problem. I mean,
because there's people out here that are just waiting. Because everyone's invested in LeBron in one way or another. Either people invested in proving. See, I told you he's the greatest. And so, you beat the Warriors in 2016, the 73 win. That was a big deal. And then the other side are people who are invested in saying, like, this dude ain't really that nice, right? And so even, like, if he had one arm and one leg, he out there hopping. And, like, I told you he garbage. He could only go one way. Like, what are we talking about here?
All right. On a lighter note, maybe it ain't lighter. It's not lighter if you're the person that was in the middle of it. one thing we've seen in the playoffs the last couple of weeks is Russell Westbrook smack a dude's phone, and Russ has done it the last couple of years, different things like that, get in a crowd, face, and then we just saw last night James Harden do it.
Yeah. And by the way, if you want to throw in another fan incident,
which one?
Drake and Kendrick Perkins.
Drake, yeah, Drake. I mean, that's a unique one, but you're right.
But it's still a fan crossing the line.
Fan crossing the line. Where do you come out on the idea that you got to be bigger than this? You just said, well, LeBron, that's part of the you're getting paid millions, suck it up, you can deal with that. Or, man, you put a phone in my face, I'm smacking it out, and they shouldn't be penalized. It shouldn't be fined.
I think that there is kind of like we call a verticality.
Yeah.
Like if I stand straight up and I don't break that plane, you jump into me, that ain't a foul on me, right? Same thing here. There's a plane of verticality for the fans. You sit here. I'm not going to say you can say whatever you want, because obviously there's some things that's not crosses the line of civility. But if you want to say, hey, Harden, you're a flopper from here, that's cool. You cross that plane of verticality where you sticking your phone out. All right, now you're in my world. You invaded his personal space. Yeah, you're liable to get that thing smacked out of your hand, especially you trying to antagonize. It's not like saying, hey, give me a high five. Mm-hmm. You out here trying to talk trash in a space that's not your space.
Why do people think this is Gladiator? Like we're at the Coliseum, and you can just say whatever. You can throw stuff on the court, or you throw stuff on the field. Like, why don't I literally can't understand that. Maybe it's because of how and where we grew up. We're like, dog, if you talk it, you gotta walk it. Like,
bro, man. I was talking about this the other day on another podcast, and I said, don't start no shit, won't be no shit. That's something that we all grew up with. Like, hey, if I leave you alone, chances are you're gonna leave me alone. Once I start this, like, be prepared
for anything.
Exactly.
It might be me walking away. It might be cold cocking you. It might be me talking smack. You just don't know.
You open that door, and now, yes, you can step through the door, but guess what also happens? People can step back through your door.
But I don't get, and I guess
people nowadays, because they'll do that, and they're like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe. Like, wait a second.
What did you think was
what did you think was going to happen?
I literally don't understand how people don't get that, because that's not your – if you walk into office, like today or earlier today, you were walking through the offices of ESPN, and if somebody you didn't know ran in your face and threw you, you either smack their hand, push them, or back. I don't understand.
I mean, and to me, it happens a lot on Twitter. Like,
it's internet thugs, that's for sure.
But like, the funny thing to me is, and people get upset because I get very harsh sometimes on Twitter, but my thing is 100% of those times is always someone came in I don't follow these people. Mm-hmm. I don't seek them out. They come into my mentions, and they don't come for polite discourse. They come and be disrespectful. And my thing is, again, like, I grew up at the lunch table in the cafeteria where we roasting everybody in there, and you don't want to laugh too hard
because you next.
Like, what are you laughing at?
I know Amin ain't talking with that.
Exactly, right? So that's how I grew up. So once you found that bass in your voice to say something at the table, be ready.
Be ready.
Because they're going to come back, and now you gotta keep up with it. But these people, like I said, it feels like this generation, they feel protected. I don't know what the word is.
It's like an imaginary glass, like you mentioned. Like, it's like there's some protective field. If you want to get all geeky in Star Wars, like a force field, and they're like in it. And I can say your mom's a hoe, your daddy is this, I'd do your daughter. They say the craziest stuff because they're like, and I don't know if you want to get deep on a podcast. I don't know if it's I look at these athletes as less than or not really men. Like, I'm just looking at historically. So like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and I'm looking at them and I'm judging them like that.
Modern day, man.
So that they're not real men to me.
Yeah.
And so I can say whatever that normally you would never say to a real man without expecting a reaction that could be, somebody busting you in the head.
And they still, and like I said, they think they've been deluded into thinking like he gets paid millions so that he doesn't get paid millions so that you can yell at him.
No, he gets paid millions.
He gets paid millions to do that.
Reporters might say something. Well, he gets dunked on.
He gets paid. Let's be honest. He gets paid millions because you wanted to pay money to watch him do that. That's why he gets paid millions. He gets paid millions because you paid for cable to watch him do that. That's why he gets paid millions. And because there's only a handful of guys on this planet who can do that. He doesn't get paid millions to yell at you or to take your yelling and your disrespect. right?
It's always boggled me that people don't get that, because to me that's just off GP.
Yeah,
Maybe
man.
that's just how he raised. You don't say anything like that to anybody. You don't put your hand in their face, whatever.
Right.
Just because anything could pop off. And I know you got to roll, so we'll wrap it up here in a minute, man. But real quick into the West, is there anybody that can dethrone the Warriors, or are we just waiting for this Rockets Warriors to happen? Or did the Donovan Mitchell-led Jazz have a chance to do something?
Utah definitely has a chance because they're very well coached and their defense is dominant. I think if you look at their defenses, Rudy Gobert came back from injury in January. They had by far the best defense in the NBA, better than Boston, better than anybody else. So that's what their central kind of identity is built around. And then you look at what they're doing offensively. Donovan Mitchell, obviously, very hard to guard.
Yeah.
And their three-point shooting has really come alive in the playoffs. And, again, a lot of that is execution of the game plan. It's something that they didn't really do a lot during the year because you got to make sure from game to game we're doing hold on, let me
Yeah. Go ahead.
So they're executing a game plan that's very specific, trying to take advantage of what Houston does or whatever. So Houston has their work cut out. They're not just going to roll. Like I think Golden State's going to roll to the conference final or to the championship. What am I saying? But Houston actually has to play these games, which we saw that again against Minnesota. Like they beat them pretty bad, and then Minnesota came back in game 3 and
Right.
like, oh wait, they're not going to roll over. We have to actually execute.
So, but then Houston pulls it off.
Yeah.
Does Houston have a shot against the Warriors?
They have a shot.
That's what it really
They
what it
have
comes
a
down
shot
to.
like I think I have a shot with Rihanna. Like I think if you gave me like
Nah, you don't have a shot,
I'm
bro.
just saying, like, if I have the opportunity, give me 5 strong minutes, I think I can make a case. Chances are either I won't get the opportunity or those 5 minutes ain't as strong as I think
You
they
know
are.
what? I'm gonna cut you some slack though, because I've always felt like if you gave me, like you said, 10 real minutes,
Yeah.
and everything else to the side,
Yeah.
I feel like back in my prime, baby, back in
Right.
my single days, baby. I could have had a shot.
But see, like the whole point is we just painted a picture where all of the circumstances are perfect.
Oh, everything had to be
You don't have no
perfect in
PR
play.
people pulling her aside. You don't have it's quiet. It's cool.
No, the ballers ain't here, so she can look at them.
She
No, stay
hasn't been-
focused, Riri. Stay
Yeah,
focused.
she hasn't been harassed by people, so she's looking at you like, why are you talking to me?
Yep.
Like, if everything is perfect, I got a shot, right? Same thing with, like, beating the Warriors. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it has to be all the perfect circumstances. Steph not being 100%, that's a pretty nice start right there. But, the problem is Golden State is so dominant defensively, right? Forget about their offense. Defense, they're so smart, and they're able to switch and deny and use their length and get out in the break, and it's just hard to overcome that.
We'll forget that with history.
Yeah.
History won't record
We'll talk
because we'll
about
think
them
about, man, they had
people
Clay, they had
shoot-
Steph, they could
shooters.
shoot in the threes. History will not record how phenomenally great this team was defensively.
Defensively, and then the other thing I think, the thing that makes them more special than almost anything else is they have so many high IQ passers. People don't. I mean, think about it. Like
Sean Livingston
was
Iguodala.
a starting point guard in this league. Iguodala was a starting point forward in this league. Steph Curry, obviously, starting point guard in this league. Draymond Green, basically point forward. David West, one of the best passing big men that we have. Kevin Durant, a really good passing wing.
Yep.
And so you talking about 7 dudes out there that at any point, like, can throw a backdoor pass and do all these no looks
Just
and
make
all
a
that stuff.
sound. Just make a simple sound play.
Simple sound play. So if you're New Orleans and like the Pelicans Twitter account is like, oh, you didn't believe in us in Portland, you didn't believe in us in Golden State. I'm like, it's a different ballgame because if I trap Damian Lillard, that's the one passer they got. Mo Harkless ain't passing like that. Aminu ain't passing like that. Like, that's it. That's basically the end of the ball being creative for someone else. The next guy who gets it is probably going to get a shot up. You try to do that with them, yeah, trap me. I'm going to throw to Draymond. Draymond throwing a lob to JaVale or throwing an open three-pointer, Clay in the corner, or coming back and doing a dribble. Like, you can't do that against them because they're just so smart.
Well, you just ruined it for everybody. Yeah. I mean, we all knew that, but I was hoping you would have some new insight as to why we shouldn't expect the Warriors to win the championship. All right, I'll get you out of here on this one, man. Who was the all-time greatest Clapback king or queen on Twitter from all of y'all? Talking about Jamel, you, Michelle Beadle, and if I'm missing somebody else. Because y'all had a season. Everybody, Michelle's chilled out.
Yeah.
Jamel, she'll still go at you a bit.
But
who had it? Because y'all had some runs there of just Clapback king and queens. If I'm leaving somebody else, Bomani jumps in.
Bo definitely, and Bo be having volume out there. Like
yeah, he do.
Bo does a lot more than I do.
It's on another level.
Oh man, that's tough.
His FGAs is like of legend.
He's Westbrook out there.
He's Westbrook.
He's getting them. Oh, you know who else? Clinton Yates.
Yeah,
Clinton Yates.
Yeah.
But Clinton Yates does the thing that like I learned a long time ago not to do, which was you don't keep giving the same no name
a lot of love.
Yeah, like 1, 2, out of here. Show me the next one. Like that's how you got to do it.
He got to take the Jay-Z approach. If I mention you, if I talk to you, I'm giving you love.
Like too much, then now I've created a peer, and you're not a peer, right? I think I got to take myself out of it because I would pick myself. Man, I think Bo and Jamel because
it's between those two.
Man, because they go like I rarely talk about people's mamas, and they be doing it. Or for Jamel, your daddy was like working the corns out my feet.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I'm like, damn.
The answer is Jamel because she goes back like the lunch table, like chilling on the block. She goes at it like that. Well, hey man, I appreciate it. Amin El Hassan. Speaking of which, hit him with the Twitter.
At Darth Amin.
Whatever that is, just follow me and then you can find him on there. Appreciate it, big dog, and we'll do this again, man. Definitely. Hopefully in a couple weeks, and we'll be in the conference final or at least the finals, and we'll talk about it then, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.